I'm going to tell you a story that happened, I don't know, a year ago, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, recently-ish. And my colleague and I were at a convention. We were selling our books, and periodically we would take turns, wander around the convention hall and see what the other vendors had available. And I stopped by this guy's table, and he was an indie horror filmmaker, and he had just finished his movie, and he had his DVDs and his Blu-rays. And so that's the sort of thing that I would be interested in regardless, but this guy had his pitch perfect. He knew exactly what to say to get the audience excited. He had sort of the elevator pitch for the plot, and he said just enough to tell us what the movie was about without giving too much away. He gave some details from behind the scenes about how he had put it together on a low budget. This guy even talked about the appropriate ratio between male and female nudity in a slasher movie. This guy had his pitch down, and it was rehearsed and scripted, and he delivered it perfectly. And I'm an indie horror fan. I probably would have bought the Blu-ray anyway, but after that pitch, yeah, I bought one. And so I went back to my table. I told my colleague, there's this guy over here. You gotta listen to his pitch for his movie. You gotta listen to his sales pitch. And so we went back over, and he's giving his sales pitch to another young couple that had wandered up to his table. And he was just sort of starting off, so we stood behind and listened as he pitched this other person, giving the same wonderful performance that he had given when I bought my copy. And he gets about halfway through, 3/4 of the way through his pitch, and he just looks up at these people who are standing in front of him, sort of looking at him like he'd grown a second head or something. And he just looked up at them, and he said, "You don't even own a DVD player, do you?" And of course, being young people of this current generation, they didn't. They only used the streaming services. And that's what's wrong in the movie industry, I think. Blu-rays and DVDs are important. Physical media is important. We want to be able to collect things. We want to be able to have a director or an actor autograph it. We don't want to be beholden to the streaming services when we want to watch a particular film. When I can go over to my library, I can pull down any of the movies that I want. I'm not saying the streaming services are bad. They're fine services. I like many of them. But physical media is important. And that's why I'm so pleased that the HorrorPack people are every month giving us 4 Blu-rays to help keep that physical media world alive. Anyway, putting aside my little story or rant or whatever you want to call it from the beginning, this is the September 2024 HorrorPack, and as is our way here on this channel, I'm gonna open it up. In case you don't know, HorrorPack is the monthly horror movie subscription service. There used to be a DVD option and a Blu-ray option. Now we just have the Blu-ray option, but it's wonderful because every month they give us one of these wonderful little care packages, and it comes with 4 horror Blu-rays, hand-selected by the HorrorPack people, and one of them is even a HorrorPack exclusive Blu-ray, which they're exclusives in different ways. Some of them are really never-before-seen, some of them are first time on Blu-ray, some of them have extra special features, that sort of thing. And for reasons that we'll get to, this is a particularly exciting month. But before I get into these films, let me just do a little bit of bookkeeping to remind you a few things. First of all, if you're not a subscriber to HorrorPack, I recommend it. There's a link down in the What's It. It's not an affiliate link. I'm not paid to say so. I just recommend their service. But if you're interested in any of these films and you're not a subscriber, I have put affiliate links down in the What's It where you can buy copies for yourself while also helping support my work here on this channel. That's all very much appreciated. And I would also appreciate if you would subscribe, ring the bell, like, share, comment, all of those YouTube-y things that help me feed the algorithm and grow my audience. But without any further ado, let's dive right in and see what wondrous movies we've gotten for September of 2024. And the first film to come out is one entitled Apartment 143, Apartment 143. The tagline on the cover says, "The first real ghost story." I have certain questions about that, and actually, before we get into this film, the cover looks exciting, and I don't know much about the film, so I'm going to read the back and all those things, and we'll talk about it. But before we get to that, since it mentioned the first ghost story, I'd be remiss if I didn't point back to an older video that I made and a book that I recommend, and the video is my review and discussion of that book. The book is called The First Ghosts by Dr. Irving Finkel, a curator at the British Museum, and I made a video about his book and about the same topic. The subject of that video and book is Mesopotamian ghost lore, which are the first recorded ghost stories that we know of. And whether we want to say they're real or not, this could be the first real ghost story, depending on what you mean by the word real. But if you're interested in the first ghost stories, go check that out. But in the meantime, we have this first quote-unquote real ghost story to contend with. Like I said, this is not a film I'm familiar with. I don't think I've even heard of it, although I do quite like the cover art. The blurb, or the quote of praise on the cover says, "Paranormal activity in just about every possible way, but with more action." So that sounds intriguing. The description on the back says, "A team of parapsychologists sets out to investigate a series of anomalous phenomena taking place in a newly occupied apartment. Telephone calls with no caller, mysterious shadows, extraordinary light emissions, flying objects, and exploding light bulbs are some of the events they will face while recording their every step with state-of-the-art technology. Using infrared filming, digital photography, psychophonic recordings, movement detectors, and magnetic field alteration meters, the group's attempts to contact the other side will grow increasingly dangerous as they near a point of no return." Pretty standard stuff in terms of the paranormal investigation sort of subgenre. And that's, I would call that a subgenre of the ghost subgenre, because there's ghost stories and then there's paranormal investigation stories, and they're not exactly the same thing. I like paranormal investigation stories because, well, I've done it. I've written books about it. Obviously, the situations that I find myself in are not really the stuff of horror movies. There's some creepy every once in a while, but, you know, we've never really experienced the magnitude of things that happen in these films, but they are fun to watch. This one sounds like it focuses on a range of paranormal phenomena or various happenings, that it's intriguing because most of these things are either phenomena that we have experienced on our investigations, or claims that we have specifically looked into on our investigations, or, in the case of a few of them, things that we have made happen during our theatrical reconstructions of paranormal claims using magician's tricks. So there's a lot of familiar material here that I'm really excited to see how it plays in a horror movie. The cover art on the front and the back is quite intriguing, and though I don't know anything about the film itself, and I certainly haven't seen it, I'm pretty excited to dig in and watch this one. That brings us to our second offering, which is Min. This is one that I think probably a lot of us already know about. This was one that a lot of people were calling one of the best films of the year. I want to say 2 years ago. I might have been last year, maybe 2 years ago. Recently, in any case. And a lot of people were praising it, but there were those who were also saying, you know, overhyped and overrated. So I've been intrigued. I've been meaning to watch this one. And for whatever reason, I just haven't got around to it. But it has been on my list of ones that I wanted to check out, so I'm actually really happy to have gotten this Blu-ray. Let's read the description on the back for those of you who don't know. It says, "In Alex Garland's Min, Harper retreats alone to the beautiful English countryside, hoping to have found a place to heal from a personal tragedy. Soon after she settles in, dark forces from the surrounding woods appear to be stalking her, forcing her to face the demons of her past." And my understanding is that, well, you know what? I don't want to say too much. I know more about the plot of this film than the description gives away, but I'm not going to say everything that I know about it because I have inadvertently stumbled across some of these things that might be spoilers. They could be things that are revealed in the first scene or two and not really spoilers, or they could be major spoilers, so I don't want to say too much in case anyone hasn't seen it. I've been curious to try it, sort of cautiously optimistic based on the quality of reviews that I've seen before. Certainly glad to have gotten it in this horror pack because I didn't have it and it has been on my watch list, and well, I will report back with my review once I have had a chance to watch it. On that topic, by the way, in case you're new to this channel, obviously I'm not reviewing these films now because, well, I haven't seen them yet. I can't review them. I can only sort of talk about them in general terms. But I do review them every month-ish. I'm running a little bit behind, but every month-ish, after I've had a chance to watch all of them, I make a monthly review video in which I will properly review all 4 films from each month. Like I said, I'm running a smidge behind, but the next ones are coming, and of course, once I get caught up, the reviews of these will be coming soon as well. So make sure you stick around, you don't want to miss that. But for now, we still have some more films to get to, and the third one is entitled Murderous Trance. We have this looks like sort of a crime thriller style based on the cover art. I don't know if that's the case because this is not one that I'm familiar with either. The description on the back of this one says, "Can a person be hypnotized to kill?" I gotta pause there for a second. That reminds me both of, well, some conspiracy theories for sure. There's all kinds of claims about secret CIA experiments in mind control and that sort of thing. And for sure, governments have looked into those kinds of things. The conspiracy theories are not all fiction, but there's also fiction layered over the top of them. So there's that side of things. It's also been an interesting question, not only in conspiracy theories, not only in fiction, but in psychological research. What can people be hypnotized to do, and what can they not be hypnotized to do? What, for that matter, is hypnosis? It's an interesting topic. And the particular question on this one, can a person be hypnotized to kill, reminded me of a quasi-experiment / magic show / TV program that Darren Brown, the magician mentalist Darren Brown, put on in the UK. And I'm trying to remember the title of it because he's done several of these kinds of programs where he carries off a kind of experiment. But in one of them, he does exactly that. He attempts to use his various tricks to convince somebody to commit what they would believe to be a real murder, but of course he's set it all up with dummy weapons and things, so nobody's actually getting hurt. And it was a really interesting one. I am trying like mad to remember the title of it, and it's not coming to me because I've been having a very busy season and it's late at night and I'm a little bit frazzled. But what I'll do is, when I edit this video, I'll look up the title and you'll be seeing it on your screen. It's a wonderful, somewhere on the boundary between fiction and nonfiction, let's say. Really interesting program. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about this Murderous Trance movie. And the description goes on to say, based on the extraordinary true story, there you go, Murderous Trance follows Detective, oh, we're behind a seam in the cellophane there, follows Detective Anders Olsen as he investigates a case in which a bank robber shoots 2 bank clerks before fleeing with the money. With the help of a hypnotist, Olsen discovers a sinister mystery involving mind control and the charismatic criminal Bjorn Skow, who secretly befriends the investigator's young wife, bringing the menace ever closer to the investigator while putting their lives in great danger. So that's an intriguing plot. It's basically what I was talking about, this idea of mind control and what can people be controlled or hypnotized or tricked into doing, and framed as a thriller. I I have read stories about that sort of thing. I don't know that I have read the true story that this one is supposed to be based upon. Again, when I do my review video, I'll have had more time to sort of do some background research and figure out to what extent this really might actually be based on a true story. But I'm intrigued either way and looking forward to that one too. So far, we're 3 for 3 in terms of ones I'm excited to watch. But that leaves us with the fourth and final film, which must be the HorrorPack exclusive Blu-ray. And this is a particularly exciting month because what should be in this little envelope is not just any exclusive, but exclusive number 100. So a rather impressive milestone. And we find that that exclusive is in fact number 100 according to the spine. And it's a film called Spooked, which is spelled S-P-O-O-K-T, Spooked. And the sticker on the pack says this is a signed edition. Not all of these exclusives are autographed, but this one is. I can see some autographs on the cover. Can't quite make out the handwriting to see who has signed it, but presumably writer, director, cast, some of those people. And that's pretty exciting to me. I'm excited because it's number 100, which means HorrorPack has been at this for a long time. I came in around number 50. I came in at like 49, 50, 51, right in that range. I'd have to go back and see which my first was, but I've been at it for about half as long as HorrorPack has, and it's been a pretty good subscription for me. I think most of you who subscribe would probably agree as well. So it's exciting that we've reached number 100. That's worth celebrating in and of itself, but it's also exciting that this is an autographed copy. I like to collect autographed books and movies, and this will fit right in with my collection. Of course, as is usually the case with these exclusives, this is not a film that I'm familiar with in advance. I have not heard of Spooked, but I like the look of the cover. I like the title. I like that it's autographed. And as for the description on the back, it says, "The secrets of a small town are revealed when a paranormal investigator and a skeptic search for the truth behind a missing girl and the infamous Dr. Byler." Which tells me precious little, except that this is another one about paranormal investigators, which I like. I like that this one includes presumably the believer and the skeptic. A good paranormal investigator should be sort of skeptical in the correct sense of the word, in terms of ready to believe but also ready to debunk. And the interplay between the believers on the one hand, the true skeptics in the middle, and the, let's call them, deniers on the other hand, that interplay is always fascinating. It makes for great drama in horror fiction. It makes for great personal drama for that matter, and it's always interesting. This sounds like a fun one, and hey, 100 of these HorrorPack exclusives is something worth celebrating indeed. So there we go, 4 brand new films. I have not seen any of these. I always like when that happens because the reason that I like to get these subscription packs is not just getting a good deal on some movies, although we get a good deal on some movies. It's not just about getting these exclusives, although I like that, but it's about discovering films that maybe I wouldn't have seen otherwise. And this month, they done good by me. I got 4 films, all of which I am excited genuinely to watch, none of which I have seen before. As I said, I will be watching these shortly, and I'll report back with my review once I have done so. So for now, all that remains is for me, first of all, to go watch some movies, but even more importantly, for me to bid you to take care and stay scared.